Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Metro Board Chair Paul Smedberg, and I represent Virginia on the Metro Board of Directors. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for the virtual hearing on Metro's proposed fiscal year 2024 budget. Joining me today is Metro's Chief Financial Officer, Yetunde Olamide, and Board Corporate Secretary, Jennifer Ellison. And I see that David Snyder, who's a member of the City of Falls Church Council, is also joining us this afternoon. Welcome to this virtual public hearing on Metro's proposed fiscal year 2024 budget and capital improvement plan. This hearing is convened by the Metro Board of Directors to gather public comments on two dockets. Docket B 2301, Metro's proposed fiscal year 2023 through 2028 capital improvement program, and docket B 23-2, Metro's proposed fiscal year 2024 operating budget and associated fare and service proposals. Notice of this hearing was made in publication in the Washington Post, and ads were placed in the Afro, Aref, Daine, El Tiempo Latino, the Epoch Times, the Korean Times, and the Washington Hispanic, as well as through several social media outlets and radio. And signs were placed in all Metro Rail stations, on buses, Metro Access vehicles, and at select Metro bus stops. Notice was also made online and sent to area libraries. Before we take testimony, I'm going to ask Metro staff to give us a brief overview of the of Metro's proposed budget and what's in it. We're going to start with a brief online video.
Hi everyone, I'm Randy Clark, and I have the privilege of being the Metro General Manager. I'm excited to present our fiscal year 24 budget. Budgets are really about the values and priorities of an organization. And in this organization, delivering safe, frequent, reliable transportation is what we do, and our goal is to do it in the most equitable, sustainable way possible. I'm really proud of the effort the team has made in taking input in the budget process between a lot of customer engagement events out at stations and at bus stops, working internally with our teams and employee town halls. We met with a lot of elected officials and key stakeholders. Your input helped drive this process, and we thank you for that. I want to also recognize our board. We've transparently had multiple board meetings talking about different concepts and investments in this budget, and their input has been taken into account. I really look forward to them having a deep review and their consideration of moving the budget process forward. Thank you again for all of your input into Metro's budget, and we look forward to seeing you on board the system. Have a great day.
We take this process very seriously, and in fact, we've already used some of the feedback that we've gotten from customers, community, the region, and our stakeholders to make some improvements and start some initiatives that address customer concerns. But the work doesn't stop there. Every penny in this new budget proposal will go towards making Metro service better. In fact, whether it's the low-income fare program, the wayfinding signage program, or training for frontline employees, all of our dollars in this budget proposal are being invested in making your Metro better.
We're building a new Metro integrated command and communication center to improve coordination between bus and rail incidents. We're also centralizing training and building a training academy designed to create a collaborative environment and promote facility-enhanced safety, improve internal coordination, and better communicate with our customers when incidents disrupt service.
We've included operational initiatives and capital projects to provide more frequent and reliable bus and rail service, as well as simplified fares to improve our customer access to destination and opportunities. And we've included capital investments to advance sustainability, including the solar carport at Anacostia, which will generate energy equivalent to that needed to power about 165 homes for a year.
We're focused on increasing our public safety efforts, which means more police and more visibility on Metro Bus and Metro Rail. We're hiring crisis intervention coordinators to make sure that people with mental health issues get the resources they need.
We're also enhancing our video system, which includes thousands of cameras to help us quickly solve crimes and address disorder.
We're working to improve our bus and rail system daily. Our focus remains on optimizing bus routes and increasing rail frequency. We're working to build our bench strength through recruitment and retention of Metro Bus and Metro Rail team members, which will support providing more reliable service to our region. We've increased 7K trains to ease crowding, and we also have extended the Silver Line to the Washington Dulles International Airport by way of Ashburn. This budget proposal includes service improvements on the yellow, green, and orange lines, and also adds 3 new bus service enhancements to your Metro. The team is working hard every day for our customers, and this budget further supports providing better service to the people who need us most.
Our frontline maintenance professionals and our contractor partners are working day and night, 365 days a year, to ensure our tracks, powers, and signals continue to provide the safe and reliable service that our community deserves. Also, we continue to invest in our fleet to include new buses and trains and our Metro Access vehicles.
We're also building new facilities and supporting infrastructure that will help in the fight with climate change. Metro's Northern and Bladensburg bus garages will be LEED certified electric bus facilities featuring solar panels, energy efficiency technologies, and other sustainable solutions.
We build talented teams at Metro. We are looking to recruit the best of the best and provide a workplace culture that is showing our employees that they are valued, supported, and make them proud of their accomplishments and contributions towards making Metro a connector of our region.
The proposed FY24 budget is a great opportunity to provide more frequent service to customers, simpler fares, accessibility to transit through a Metro-led low-income fare program, safety, a state of good repair by responsible oversight of our system, and modernization and electrification of our vehicle fleet. While we are fortunate to have a number of funding sources for FY24, FY25 will present some long-term operational outlook challenges that will require more serious discussion about what our region wants Metro to be for our future.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the highlights of our fiscal year 24 budget. But the job's not done. We still need to hear more from you, our customers, and our community. So please attend or listen in to upcoming board hearings. Follow us on social media or WMATA.com. Please let us know if we got your priorities right for investing in the future of Metro. It's your community's transit system, and we need your input. Thank you. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you on board.
Great. So good afternoon.
Now I'll turn the floor over to Metro's Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Solomete, to provide us a brief overview of what's proposed.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the public. My name is Yetunde Olumide, Chief Financial Officer and Executive Vice President. The proposed operating budget increases bus and rail service. It simplifies fares, launches the Better Bus Network redesign, and funds crisis intervention specialists. The proposed capital budget funds zero-emission buses and electrification of the Northern and Bladensburg bus garages. It opens the new Potomac Yard Station, modernizes customer wayfinding, and funds the creation of the Metro Integrated Communications Center. Specifically, the proposed budget increases service frequency with trains every 3 to 6 minutes at stations in the core and trains every 8 to 12 minutes or better system-wide, benefiting customers across the entire network. I'll now present the fare and service optimization proposals. The FY24 service optimization proposal strengthens Metro's transit network by increasing frequency within the central portion of the system to serve fast-growing areas with high ridership potential, providing efficient and predictable transfers and increasing job accessibility. The FY24 fare optimization proposal simplifies the Metro Rail fare structure for customers, grows ridership and revenue, and makes transit more affordable for the most price-sensitive customers. On Metro Bus, next slide, please. On Metro Bus, this slide shows the expansion of all-day frequent service improvements to 3 additional lines, the B2, A12, and 16M, while the docket includes a 4th additional line, 11Y, and the launching of the Better Bus Network redesign. On Metro Rail, service would improve with trains arriving every 3 to 6 minutes at stations in the core, and trains every 8 to 12 minutes or better system-wide. Again, benefiting customers across the entire network. Green and yellow line trains would arrive every 6 minutes all day, with all yellow line trains turning around at Mount Vernon Square Station. Orange line trains would operate every 7.5 minutes on average during peak service and every 10 minutes during off-peak service. The next slide. The proposed rail fare structure ranges from $2 to $6.50 for weekdays and maintains the $2 late night and weekend fares. Weekday peak and off-peak fare structure would be consolidated. The mileage rate would be standardized at 40 cents per mile after 3 miles. The rail base fare would match the bus fare at $2 all week. Metro would administer a regional low-income fare program. This fare simplification offers advantages over a general across-the-board fare increase by growing ridership while maintaining a positive budget impact. The proposed low-income fare program would provide customers enrolled in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, a 50% discount on trips, similar to seniors and disabled reduced fares. Now to the proposed operating budget. Metro has been able to reduce the original forecast for FY24, starting from the left. The red bar shows the original $318 million deficit, down from $500 million. Over fiscal years 23 and 24, Metro projects an additional $150 million of personnel cost growth, mostly tied to labor and contractual obligations. At the same time, Metro achieved operating budget favorability of $284 million in FY22 from reduced expenses and favorable operating revenues. As a result of all this, Metro is now looking at a $185 million budget gap for FY24 that needs to be closed based on options that we have previously discussed here. And on the next slide, to sum up the gap closure conversation, the anticipated $184 million operating funding gap will be closed through a combination of recovering ridership, revenue from non-passenger sources, revenue from fare optimization initiatives, expense management, and increased federal formula funding for maintenance. In addition, new above-base services include improved service frequencies on the orange, green, and yellow lines, more frequent service on the 4 bus routes previously discussed, and the opening of the new Potomac Yard station. The next slide, this table shows a comparison of our FY23 to the proposed FY24 budget. If I can draw your attention to the bottom of the table, the total federal ARPA relief funding is budgeted at $561 million, which is the remaining balance we expect to have available for use in FY24. I'll pivot to the capital budget on the next slide. The $2.4 billion FY24 capital budget and $14 billion total FY24 to 29 capital improvement program, which includes debt service and revenue losses from capital projects, focuses Metro's capital investments on safety, a state of good repair, and reliability of our Metro Rail, Metro Bus, and Metro Access assets. Highlights of the budget include investments in Northern and Bladensburg bus garages to enable them to run electric vehicles, life cycle replacement of bus and paratransit vehicles, 8,000 series railcar acquisitions, and railcar heavy repair and overhaul facility investments. On the next slide, the capital improvement plan is funded. On the next slide, please. The capital improvement plan is funded by $2.4 billion of a combination of federal, state, and local, and debt funding. That concludes my presentation this afternoon. Thank you, sir. Sir, I believe you're muted.
Thank you, Yetende, Ms. Olamide. So before we begin calling on the witnesses today, I'd like to explain the testimony process this afternoon. For this hearing, we have people joining us via phone and via video. If you're joining us via video, please keep your camera off and mute your microphone until I call on you. If you are listening on the phone, you can press *3 to put you in the queue to speak. You'll get a notification when it's your turn to speak. If you're watching this hearing live and decide you want to provide testimony, you can call 855-925-2801 after calling in and entering code 7756. And as you can see, that information is there on the screen. Once you're in the meeting, you will be able to listen over the phone by pressing *1. If you'd like to provide testimony, you can press *3 and we'll put you in the speaker's queue. You'll get a message when it's your turn to speak. You can watch the hearing live online at wmata.com/budget. The video will be archived on the Metro Forward YouTube channel. If you're watching the hearing live on a different device, please make sure to mute the device so that there isn't any feedback. You will be able to listen to the hearing while you wait in the phone queue. For the public record, to accurately reflect who's providing testimony, I'd like to ask that you please state your name and any organization you may represent before you begin your testimony. Since this hearing is being recorded, it will be available on YouTube. Please do not provide any personal information like an address, a phone number, or an email in your testimony. Elected officials will be allowed 5 minutes. Everyone else will be allowed 3 minutes each. Extra time will be given for translation if needed. We ask that you stay within your time limit because we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to speak and be heard. I also want to note that each speaker is only able to speak once. While you may have the option to rejoin the speaker's queue, we cannot accept additional testimony at this hearing. I want to take a moment to recognize that this is where we listen to you. This is your opportunity to comment on any or all the proposals, and we are here to listen. We will not be able to answer questions during your testimony. Your comments will become part of the public record that will be reviewed by the Board of Directors. Changes to the opinions presented today may be proposed in response to testimony received and subsequent staff analysis. And now it's time to call on our first witness. As a reminder, please tell us your name and any organization you represent before you start speaking. And Jose, I think we'll go first to Councilmember Snyder from the City of Falls Church.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can, David. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank you, the Metro Board, and all the staff for extraordinary work in frankly extraordinary times. So thank you. I'm testifying today on behalf of the City of Falls Church, a Metro Compact member and probably the smallest of the jurisdictions that are Metro Compact members. First of all, on priorities for the operating budget and the capital improvement program. We continue to support the safe return of the 7000 series, and I especially want to note the robust and aggressive response that Metro has made to growing safety and security concerns. We're fully supportive of that and urge that they be continued. Secondly, the simplification efforts to balance ridership and revenue, while also reviewing ways to lower the pre-mile rate with consideration for suburban commuters, including the cost of parking in those calculations, should be something we continue to pursue. We support the policy goals and concept of the proposed low-income fare program, but we have to make sure that it's effectively targeted to those in need and that we have sufficient other revenue to cover any gaps. We urge the reconsideration of billing such a large amount of maintenance funding to the operating budget and avoid future over-reliance on this budget tool. We continue to support progress on reducing a state of good repair backlog. The city supports upcoming work involving replacement of original rail scheduled for this summer, including the orange and silver lines, and urge that you provide as effective and efficient alternative transportation as possible during that period, as well as the critical role of public communication during that. The percent change in base operating subsidy for the city from FY23 to FY24 was 2.5%, while percentage change for total operating subsidy was 4.5%. So we urge continued respect for and reliance on the existing legislative deadlines, or rather legislative limitations, particularly on individual jurisdictions in Northern Virginia. That's very, very important to us. In terms of long-range funding, we again support WMATA's efforts to obtain dedicated, ongoing, and regional funding. The city is particularly concerned, of course, as everyone is, with the looming budget gaps. The city supports the plan of WMATA's general manager to speak with leadership in Annapolis and Richmond. The city supports attempts to obtain additional federal funding for WMATA. The city supports right-sizing rail and bus service levels to demand to address projected operating gaps. And the city supports increased transparency regarding jurisdictional funding and billing. Finally, the city supports efforts to increase ridership and revenues through optimized advertising strategies. And we urge a lot of thinking outside the box about how to leverage and increase funding from non-tax and non-fare revenue sources. And finally, we support the efforts to rein in the fare evasion. So let me really begin where I began. You are engaged in something, as you well know, of huge importance to the City of Falls Church and the entire region. Your budget goals are right on point, and we want to be a partner with you in achieving all of those goals with the specific elements in our testimony that I mentioned. Once again, thank you very much, and we look forward to a continued constructive partnership.
Thank you, David. Great seeing you. Next, we'll turn to Rejan Sedilla.
Hello, hi. My name's Rajan. I live in DC, and I just had a few comments and suggestions. First of all, my concern is on east of the river access, mainly Ward 7 and 8 access to the downtown area. I actually drew, I don't know if you can see. So I'm more concerned with having circulating routes versus segmented routes. So this type of bus route would circulate, going clockwise and counterclockwise versus having to go north transfer, west transfer, south transfer. Okay, so this is just a quick sketch. With the east of the river, it's Benning Road and Pennsylvania Avenue are pretty much the only roads that go into DC. So think about having circulating routes that may connect Union Station, Potomac Avenue to east of the river access. So circulating counterclockwise and clockwise. Right now, I know Potomac Avenue is every 25 minutes to go over the river, which is a chore. I mean, if you notice people on Connecticut Avenue versus Minnesota Avenue, it's a leisure stroll in Connecticut because there are multiple buses coming one after the other. Minnesota Avenue, people are scrambling because they know the bus isn't coming very often. And I will say, with regards to going from Ward 7 to Ward 8, yes, there are, direct lines on Minnesota, but I would say the majority of the people in DC are converging onto the downtown or central area of DC. Let's create circulating routes versus segmented routes. My other question or comment is the accuracy of the timetables on the WMATA app, Google Maps, Apple Maps, even the scrolling kiosks on the bus stations are inaccurate, and I've experienced that just this week. So if anybody has any accurate information on that, it would help. Otherwise, I'm kind of in a fog sometimes knowing when the next bus will come. My last comment is with regards to public safety. I choose to take the bus and train. I don't have to, and I pay the price. I see things and experience things that are very stressful. And I just want to know where we are as a culture. If we're leaning towards legalizing, decriminalizing, forgiving debt, making things free, what's that going to look like? I just suggest that the leadership of WMATA go down to Minnesota Avenue, hang out there, go to Anacostia, hang out there, spend a week there, and tell me if that's a system that you want. Is that the society you want? If so, let the people know that so our expectations meet our reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Next, we'll have Amia Taylor, followed by Alec Mayhew.
They haven't checked in, so we can move to Caitlin Roger.
Alec Mayhew's not there either, Jose?
No, sir. Caitlin is next.
Okay. Phil Posner.
He's calling in. So let Caitlin go, then I'll buzz in.
Okay. I'm going off your list. Yep.
Great. Is it my turn?
Hold on.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity to testify today. DC Sustainable Transportation is a nonprofit organization. We bring together business, advocacy, and government entities, and I'm the executive director. Metro's budget reflects a lot of strong points for shifting more trips to transit, a goal that's at the very heart of the region's ability to grow and prosper in an equitable and sustainable way. And Metro is to be commended on filling its budget gap for FY2024. I'll also highlight a few areas where either more information or a shift in focus might better serve those goals. DCST is excited to see Metro commit its action to its equity goals by significantly expanding rail service east of the Anacostia River. Focusing service improvements on lower-income communities can reduce a number of disparities that are especially pressing in the wake of COVID. The proposed 3 to 6 minute headways within the core and 8 to 6 minute headways for the wider rail system will further support transit as a viable option for more riders. No doubt, Metro's plan to return all 7,000 series trains to full service this year will support these goals, and we'd like to see that happen in the 23 half of 24. On bus, DCST is pleased that Metro is improving the service in 3 high ridership rail lines this year. We're taking part in the Better Bus Network Redesign Initiative with enthusiasm, noting its tasked with creating both a visionary design and a cost-neutral option. We'd ask Metro to consider whether a cost-neutral version is genuinely capable of delivering a better bus network, particularly in light of inflation and rising employment costs. DCST welcomes the simplification of the rail fare structure and bringing the base fare down to $2. This will make it easier for more riders to take rail when that's the most efficient mode for their trip. On that note, we're also pleased to see the 50% discount fare program for SNAP enrolled riders. For low-income riders, a daily affordable transit trip can be empowering far beyond other benefits because it makes it possible for them to take trips that they value. We'd like to see more emphasis on shoring up Metro's resilience, not just to climate change, but to disasters and other shocks in ways that strengthen the overall system. Just in the last 3 years, Metro's ability to operate has been decimated by an exogenous shock, COVID, and then also an endogenous one with a 7000 series removal. While it's possible to prepare for it's impossible to prepare for all eventualities. There are broad priorities we could invest in now, like widening the pipeline for new operators and building more calculated redundancy in the system that will allow us to recover more quickly from inevitable shocks. Just turn quickly now to the size of the overall pie. We do commend Metro in its closing the budget gap for FY24 through reduced costs and increased revenue. That's a huge milestone. Has Metro made an effort to quantify revenue losses from broken fare boxes? If you're a rider, you do experience this regularly. For me, it's conservatively about 25% of the time, the bus trips I take, the fare box is broken and I cannot pay. So I'm just relying on my anecdata there and that of people I know. I'd love to see some hard data on whether this is a problem more widely and what it's costing Metro. I'll just close quickly with a point at the rest of the board. With federal relief funds drying up next year, Metro needs a plan imminently for how to fill the resulting $500 million gap. I respectfully and just strongly encourage board members to put at the top of their priority list, working with their jurisdictional partners on a plan to raise these funds, perhaps through innovative real estate initiatives, a dedicated tax, or in the long term, congestion pricing. Ensuring that Metro has a sustainable financial future beyond 2024 is of utmost importance to our regional sustainability, safety, and our economy. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. Appreciate it. Next, Danilo Petrenko. Danilo?
Hasn't appeared to log on.
I'm sorry?
He hasn't logged on, so we can
He
go
hasn't
to
logged
Catherine.
on, okay. Next, we'll turn to Catherine Smith. Ms. Smith?
Hello, I'm Catherine Smith. I'm speaking as a private citizen. I just wanted to raise a concern about the plan to turn the Metro line, the yellow line, around at Mount Vernon Square. I rely on the yellow line currently to get myself, across town for my daily commute. I'm sure there are other people who are in that position. And I'm just concerned that the need to transfer to a different train is going to increase the time to a lot of people's daily commutes and might discourage people from using public transportation for their commute. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a possible concern.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Next is Angela Bryce, followed by Shauna Taylor.
Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Or good afternoon.
Fantastic. My name is Angelica. I'm an Arlington County resident. I live on the yellow and blue lines. I am also actually crossing town quite a bit for my work. For example, I have a client who has a couple offices in the area, and even though she has one that's physically closer to my house in Virginia, I choose to visit her in Prince George Plaza because it's so much easier to get there on the Metro. And so if the yellow line were turned back at Mount Vernon, it would require a train change, which I understand is, a minor problem in the grand scheme of things, but is, does impact me. And so I'm here to express that I might prefer to wait a little bit longer for a train if that train could take me as far as I was trying to go. Given how many trains we have in the system, especially going through the center, I'm not sure that we need additional yellow lines getting turned back when the infrastructure is there to cross town fully. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your first name correctly. Kenya Turner? Kenya Turner?
Well, Ms. Turner hasn't checked in, so we have 2 callers on the line, so if we could just go to the lines real quick.
Very good.
On caller, we actually have 3 callers. I'm going to unmute 8151. You'll be queued to start speaking.
I pay the full price. That fare is calculated on a full rail fare. That doesn't seem correct. Even worse, I never know what my fare is on Metro Access until I get on the vehicle. It's different for the same ride, same time, same day of the week, except on the weekends and after 9:30 when there's a flat fare. Please set a fixed fare for Metro Access. The numbers that Tom Webster and Yotunde Olgunde show a flat fare will increase fare box recovery for Metro, a win for Metro. It will also reduce the number of people that call in to complain that they have been given the wrong fare and don't understand what's going on, and free up a large amount of staff time to do other things more valuable. On the capital budget, please continue your investment in better lighting, better signage, and wayfinding. And please check with the disability community as well as the RAC when designing the final selection for the 8000 series cars. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful budget that is fair to everyone. The low income, the disabled, the old, and everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Nice to hear from you.
Next
the
caller.
Next person in the queue.
Yes, next person, phone number ending in 9703. You'll get a cue to speak. So just please hold your speaking until you get that cue. Thank you.
Phone. Thank you from WMATA for conducting these public hearings and collecting community feedback. I reside in Washington neighborhood Shaw, and over the last 5 years I've lived in Arlington County, DuPont Circle, Logan Circle. I'm a graduate student at American University, and I received the flyer for these hearings a couple weeks ago, and just wanted to share my feedback as a graduate student, someone who's worked in the city. The 3 points I have today is the transparency with the buses. As a student, I go from working full-time in the city to taking the bus up to Tenleytown, up to American University, and taking evening classes full-time. I just wanted to express my frustration and my experience of having too many times in the end line of not having the buses come and not knowing when the next bus comes. And so just wanted to share the feedback with that and understand what is WMATA doing to address a lot of the other lines on the buses that weren't addressed in the plan. I saw that there's B2, A12, and 16M. I didn't see anything about the end line, and I'm sure there's other people on these calls that are experiencing not seeing maybe their bus line being adjusted. So just wanted to see that. Customer service and feedback. I've tried expressing my frustration and my experiences in the past through the customer service, but I received no feedback. And I've had friends who do the same, and just wanted to also ask for the fiscal year budget, how is customer service going to be improved so that our user feedback can be shared on a more frequent basis than these public hearings. The next point I'd like to make is the fare invasion. I live right next to the Shaw, Howard University Metro and the Green and Yellow line. Every day I see people hopping and not paying. I'd say more than a dozen people a day do it right in front of me. And as someone who pays, I'm very confused as to what is the plan of action. I saw that WMATA had a plan of action last fall to crack down, but there hasn't been much transparency of how that progress has been. And it seems like there needs to be more to be done in the city itself versus Virginia and Maryland. The last point I'd like to say is safety and environment. I come home from my night classes. I got out of class at around 11 o'clock from American University, and I take a long way home through public transportation all the way to my house. And so usually I'm on the last line trying to transfer over at Chinatown Metro stop. And I'd say definitely not the safest place. I just spent a semester abroad in Europe, and I use the transportation in Europe, and I think our city is better than that. The cleanliness, the safety, feeling like I could take the transportation and use it in a sense that I think there's more that we can do of making some of the city metro stops a bit safer, especially at night for night riders. That is all I have for today. I appreciate you listening to my feedback, and I should go without saying that we're all maybe a bit emotional in these calls because we hope that our feedback is taken and we want the city just to be better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you hang up,
sir, could you repeat your name once again? I'm sorry, we didn't quite catch it.
My name is Alex Mayhew. I was scheduled to do the Zoom call today, but I did not receive the second follow-up link for the call today, so I'm calling in on the phone.
Okay. Thank
Alex
you so much.
Mayhew. Thank you.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks so much.
We can go back to on Teams.
We're done with the speaker queue, Jose.
We have 3 more, but we can go back to the Teams call. Kai Hall is next.
All right, next we have Kai Hall.
Hello.
Hello.
One moment.
Thank you.
Great. So good afternoon, Director Smedberg and the WMATA Board of Directors. My name is Kai Hall, and I'm the coordinator of the DC Transportation Equity Network. The DC-10 is a cross-sector coalition of organizations committed to seeing a complete transportation system that ensures vulnerable residents are accounted for in the district. Today, I'll focus on the low-income fare program, the Chief Diversity Office, and bus service provisions as laid out in the budget. The DC-10 commends WMATA on putting action behind their words by implementing a new low-income fare program under this budget. Low-income residents in DC are already unduly burdened by the high cost of living in the city. Fares should not be a barrier to residents from accessing the places and services they need to take care of themselves and their families, and to provide essential services as part of their jobs. As outlined in this program, reducing fares by 50% for SNAP recipients is a significant step in the right direction. The 10 also supports the creation of the Chief Diversity Office in the budget and all of the roles that will enable it to do its job. We want to emphasize to the board the importance of ensuring this office receives adequate funding for staff to guarantee it is well-resourced enough to be effective in its work. Because equity is outlined as a strategic priority for WMATA, you have a responsibility to ensure this office is funded as fully as it needs to be to get the job done. The word equity is mentioned dozens of times throughout this budget, and some of the programs I'm highlighting today show actionable movement towards more equitable access and outcomes for riders. We urge WMATA to provide a definition of equity and share how the agency measures the effect of its programs against this definition. DC's REACH Act may be a useful reference to define equity and outline assessment tools for these purposes. Furthermore, we urge WMATA to increase transparency about how it targets resources to communities based on these measurements. And as for bus service, making buses faster and more reliable furthers equity for low-income communities and communities of color. Doing so reduces waiting times and allows riders to predictably time their trips and travel in confidence, knowing that they will arrive at their destinations when they need to. In this vein, the work WMATA is doing in collaboration with DDOT on the Bus Priority Project is great. However, we are concerned about the budget for this program being reduced from $8.1 million in FY 2023 by 50% to $4.1 million in FY 2024 and $2.8 million in FY 2025. While a reduction of this sort may be explained by the agency achieving its goals in previous years for the Bus Priority Program, we'd like more information as to why the budget for this important program is being halved by next year. Finally, we understand that this discussion on the budget is about the revenue WMATA has and is projected to bring in, but we oppose the 3% cap on increasing the budget year over year. This limitation fails to consider the rate of inflation, which means the system has to try to do more with fewer resources. Similar to how highway programs are well-resourced, we hope WMATA will advocate to remove this cap in the future and fully fund itself to meet the needs of riders. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Kai. Next, we have Megan Lisowski. Megan?
Hi,
There we are.
I'm Megan Lisowski. I live in DC.
I live in Ward 7. I take the X8 and over to Union Station, so I ride the bus and the metro every day. I just wanted to start out by saying some really good things. I love that the Silver Line goes to Dulles now. I know it was a whole months ago, but I'm still like just so thrilled that we finally did it. I am very happy with all the things that I see proposed in the budget, eliminating peak pricing. Great, would be good for me. I take the metro Monday through Friday. Increasing metro services, increasing the bus lines. I live on the B2. I hear it every morning at 4:55. I'll hear it all night. I'll get used to it, no problem. Added safety in the cameras, low-income fare, great, great, great. The major concern for me is the most dangerous part of my day is I go from being a pedestrian to a cyclist to a passenger to a car rider all at some point. And the danger comes from vehicles doing what they're not supposed to. So I'm wondering if there's a way that we could have bus lane cameras or bus mounted cameras that ticket cars who are in the bus lanes or the bus stop areas when they're not supposed to be. I have more fingers than toes than the number of times that the bus hasn't been able to stop in the bus stop. And that's fine for me. I'm young and limber. I can hop down. But for those who need to be pulled up to the curb to get the wheelchair, it's just not, it's not safe. So again, you all are doing great. Love the metro, take it as much as I can, and the buses. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Megan. Next, Tino Calabia. Tina?
Yes.
There you are.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you.
Nice seeing you too. Here's the beginning of my creds regarding buses. I helped out with the Better Bus Network redesign in getting surveys for that project. I also, my creds in terms of buses goes back to when I took buses alone back in 1949. I lived near the Western Division Bus Terminal and have chatted with bus operators about this particular sign. I don't know if you can read it, but basically it's a sign posted by the transportation TSA in the Tampa airport. And what it does, it warns violators who threaten bus operators or hurl verbal abuse or use any kind of violence that they will suffer criminal penalties and fines up to over $10,000. I've spoken to bus operators at the terminal and as well at the Friendship Heights metro station where I travel from, and they say that they have no such protections, and I think that's terrible. In fact, on Monday, Governing Magazine published a long article on the fact that there's a rise in bus driver assaults. They even back in October 31st of 2022, they featured an article which showed a picture of a WMATA bus operator. You've got to do something about it, and I suggest you work out some sort of a measure that will show people that we're serious about what they do when they assault bus drivers. I also want to note that this is National Disabilities Awareness Month, and as I've told Lynn Bowersock, I commend you all for possibly bringing our Metro Rail Center system finally into the 21st century by considering the open gangway design for the 8000 series trains. Why? Because low vision and blind riders in stations may mistake the entry, the gaps between two cars for the entry into the train. Back in 1997, the Washington Post reported that I think it was as many as 3 blind persons or low vision persons died falling into the gap between cars. The 8000 series, if it becomes a open gangway style train, will prevent that sort of thing. I'm also grateful that you've begun to put in UVC filters, which kill all sorts of germs, including the COVID germs, and COVID has not gone away, as many of you are aware. With respect to equity in terms of the Metro Access Affairs, I wholeheartedly support Phil Posner. Up to now, I've been speaking as a private individual, a user of buses and Metro, but I also am chair of the Bus Rail Subcommittee of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. And what Phil Posner just said is something that I would repeat numerous times. In fact, I have, as people who are on the committee have spoken over the past couple of years about a flat fare and simplifying it for people with disabilities.
30 seconds.
Thank you very much.
All right, nice seeing you.
Right.
Okay, Jose, you're going back to the phone.
Yes, so let's see, caller ending in 5827. You'll get a cue to start speaking. Please stand by.
I chose to reduce my carbon footprint by using public transit options as much as possible. My concern is the constant announcements and alerts of limited bus operator availability on the F13, D12, G14 lines in Prince George's County, Maryland. I work in Washington, D.C., and it takes me an hour and a half one way to get to my place of employment. When I hear these announcements, I choose to work from home rather than be late to go to work. I have heard these announcements, seen these alerts via your Metro alert system several times since the beginning of this year. And I am concerned that when I need my Metro buses to run efficiently, I am being shortchanged. I don't know how many other riders are experiencing this problem, but I encourage you, if bus operator availability is due to low payment or other union concerns, and that they're doing sort of a impromptu strike, that you would at least let the riders know exactly what's going on so that they can take alternative means of transportation, such as Uber or taxis or commuter connections, before they find themselves waiting and waiting for buses that never show up. Another concern I have has to do with the bus bays and choosing which bus stops have only benches and which ones actually have a bus shelter. I believe that every bus stop or bay should have a covered bus shelter. And it should, if not, then it should be enough benches so that more than 2 or 3 people can have access to them. A lot of people who are mature in age, elderly, infirm, disabled, find themselves standing around waiting for buses for long periods of time simply because the young people choose to sprawl or stand or sit on top of the bus benches as if they own them. My last and final concern is seems like an unfair distribution of the 7,000 series throughout Prince George's County. I noticed that when the buses are coming into Prince George's County, they are of the 300, 200, 400, 500 series. But I do not see many 7,000 series buses, trains coming into Prince George's County, either at the end of Largo Town Center or Greenbelt, Maryland, or New Carrollton. And I'm concerned that the condition of the train cars have fallen down in such a way that every time I have gotten on in a train car, there has been spilled contents, there's been food wrappers, and I've visibly seen rodents in train cars this year. And I would just like to ask you to address the cleanliness of the systems and the equity of the 7,000 series cars. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Could you state your name for us, please? I'm sorry, we didn't catch it at the beginning.
I am Leslie Cummings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jose, the next speaker.
Yes, next on queue we have caller 5171. You're about to be unmuted. Stand by. And Tino, if you could please turn off your camera. Thank you.
And I'm Vice Chair of the Accessibility Advisory Committee and Vice Chair of Metro Access. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to sing the same old song about flat fare. It's concerning that we talk about this year after year, but patience has to be a virtue. When I go to the board meetings, for a long time, year after year, I said there were no women on the committee, and now we have women on the committee. So keep hope alive that we will eventually come to a flat fare for Metro Access. You need to have each jurisdiction know what they need to pay, and it needs to be put in the budget so that they will know what they need to pay. Putting a cap is not a good idea because things are going up, but the prices are going higher and higher, so we have to ask more from the jurisdictions to meet the needs of the people. A flat fare will allow disabled people to be able to budget what they need to. It'll be like you know what your rent or your mortgage is, and you'll know what your transportation. Right now, it's too many different variables. It's not fair. Also, you add 6 lines on to go to Dulles, the Silver Line, 6 stops, and then you want to cut off the Yellow Line. I'm not understanding that. You don't. That's a line that you've had. Why cut off that? If you're going to keep adding, you don't cut off a line and then add 6 more stops to another line. You need to have more shelters in PG County for the buses. There's just not enough. And we have to use Metro Access because we can't stand out there in the rain, the snow, the sleet with no covers. Don't know when the bus is coming because there's no information. And blind people, which I am a blind person, we're just standing at a stop, hoping it's going to come. And it's raining, and it's snow, it's cold. This is not right. But I'm going to keep hope alive that you hear what we've been asking for year after year after year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Denise. Nice hearing your voice. Jose, any other speakers in the queue?
One last one. We have caller ending in 8560. Please stand by for your queue.
Hello, my name is Ansel Torres. I run the Torres Foundation for the Blind. I am totally blind, and I am a Metro Access user. President Biden once said, when it comes to budgets and organizations, don't tell me what your values are. Show me your budget, and I will tell you what your values are. As a Metro Access user, reviewing the Metro Access section of FY24 budget, I am observing that WMATA has no interest in inviting disabled people to use Metro Access. And I say this because when I look at the advertising budget for Metro Access, it is a measly $34,000. I thought the last budget where it was $56,000, I thought that was bad. You guys stopped it this year, or lowered it, lowered my expectations. What does that say? What does that say in combination when WMATA was, they had, with great fanfare, you had the CEO going out there and inviting people back to come and ride Metro. There was a lot of talk about it on the media. He was out there with his other staff, inviting people to come back to ride Metro. Nobody was out there inviting Metro Access riders to come back. Clearly, you're telling me you don't really want us there. Because we are not important enough, we are second-class citizens. Another disturbing thing that I discovered over the past year, and looking at this budget sort of confirms it, money is being raised in the name of Metro Access to the budget. So you put out, I don't know, $200 million saying that we're going to be using that for Metro Access. But when I look at the 2022 budget, I look at the actual column and I look at the budgeted column for 2022. And there is a $43 million difference. I have asked Mr. Blake, and I've written to WMATA and asked them, where is that $43 million going? Mr. Blake outright told me, we're not going to tell you. So much for transparency and accountability. What do you mean you don't want to tell me? I'm a taxpayer. My money is going into Metro in order to fund this operation. And you're telling me I am not entitled to know? What kind of irresponsible language is that? WMATA, the number of times I've written to them, they've basically ignored my requests. That is unacceptable. And it tells me what WMATA is. And it is a rogue operation that essentially does whatever it wants to do when it wants to do it. The Metro Rail Safety Commission also says so, essentially. You do your own thing. So it doesn't matter how much we plead for this or plead for that or plead for the other thing. Yeah, you may throw us a few crumbs here and there and say, yeah, we'll put extra women on the board. No big deal. But in terms of real things that affect our real lives on a day-to-day basis, that is not occurring. There are still disabled people who are paying some of the highest paratransit fares in the country, $6.50. I've traveled around the country and I've never paid $6.50 on any paratransit system anywhere in the US that I have been to. And I've been to some of the wealthiest cities like New York, and I've also been to Williamsburg, Virginia.
30 seconds, sir.
Nothing close. And that is wrong, and that is unacceptable. I believe there needs to be reform and reboot of Metro Access. I am demanding, I'm insisting that we in the disabled community as public, as members of the public and tax-paying members, that we need to know what is going on with our $46 million that is not being spent on Metro Access. And we still don't have a GPS system to track our vehicles so that we know where they are. The bus and the rail, the bus and the rail folks, they know where their rights are, but we as this.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Jose, anyone else in the queue?
No one else in the queue unless someone is on the queue that wishes to speak, but no one right now.
Now we have the last speaker I have here on my list is Devanya Smith.
And she hasn't logged on as well.
She has not logged on. Okay, and Amelia Taylor from the very beginning.
Hasn't logged on.
Has not logged on. Okay. Give it 10 seconds for people in the speaker, or on the phone, I'm sorry. Okay. With no more speakers, we'll now conclude the hearing. You're welcome to submit additional written testimony. It must be received by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, March 15th. Testimony can be submitted online at wmata.com/budget. You will have two options. Once you are online, you can complete a survey. You can write free-form comments, or you can upload a letter, petition, or other document. You can also mail your testimony to the Office of the Secretary, WMATA, SECT, PE, the next line, P.O. Box 44390, Washington, D.C., 20026-4390, and you can see all that information there on the screen. Again, we want to thank everyone for joining us here today, and thank you for your testimony. Remember, all testimony must be received again by 5 p.m. on March 15th, and we encourage everyone to submit comments online if possible. Thank you again.
Mr. Chair, we have one more speaker in the queue.
Oh.
They signed on quickly, so if you want to recognize them, it's 8511.
Okay. We can do that.
One moment. And you're about to get queued.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Could you please state your name?
Hey, my name is Amaya Taylor. I'm in the queue to speak. I have requested from, I believe his name is Jose.
Yep, you're on. You can go ahead and speak. 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In regards to all the emails I've sent to the ADA and to Board of Directors and to Darby Dickerson regarding the safety of trans people on Metro, it's become a real issue because I'm always harassed on Metro. And there seems to be a lack of competence with Metro special police officers, how they handle certain compliance and concerns regarding trans and non-conforming people. It's really becoming a rising instance on Metro. It's very dangerous for folks like me. And I've submitted over 200 complaints to all WMATA's emails regarding that, and also a written letter. I just think that there needs to be a more competent training with officers and also with WMATA employees, as I've already suggested numerous times in numerous emails. So I think this time I'm just going to submit a whistleblower complaint because it's becoming a real problem with my trans community being harassed on Metro a lot.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, remember, thank you all for joining us, and remember, please submit any additional testimony or your statement for the record again, if you'd like to, by 5 p.m. on March 15th. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We really appreciate it.